Good evening. My name is Brian Reese. I'm the superintendent of schools here in Plainville. We are really excited tonight to give you a virtual tour of the middle school of Plainville in preparation for a potential referendum in March. We are doing this live. We are in the middle school building, and I don't believe any of us have actually done a virtual tour before, although we did do a practice session earlier today. So bear with us. I'd like to introduce my team here. Sam Adlerstein is here as our business manager. Amy Roberts, of course, you know, as our principal here at the middle school. And Dave Lewandowski, the guy who gets everything done around here, is our assistant superintendent. So I want to take you in and start the presentation. And bear with me a little bit. I need to work through the controls. I'm going to share my screen and see how much I asked to ask the tech department for help. All right, I believe we are sharing now. I'm going to start this presentation. So again, welcome. This is a presentation to get us warmed up for the renovation project and to inform you about what's next to come. So this is the foyer, the beautiful foyer of the middle school Plainville. And as of today, and it's blue skies. So what are our goals here? We want to have the opportunity to inform you, to give you all the information. We also want to excite you about this project because I think it's going to be significant in the lives of our children. And while it's still a couple of years off, it is truly an exciting opportunity for our community. And we also want to answer your questions. We know that there's questions out there. Myself and a number of us have actually been to numerous groups in town over the past week and a half. And we've answered a lot of questions and put a lot of those questions on the FAQ, which is on the website. And we look forward to continuing that process. So this is a project that was in a sequence of projects. So I've put those out here just to kind of give you the lead up. So starting in 2008, then 2009, 2006, 2008, 2009, 2020, and then on the right, our 2028 goal. Why is it important? Well, everything in this building that was put in, which 90% of which or 99% of which is still here, was done and finished in 1992. So just to bring you back in time, in 1992, Lowell Weicker was governor. I actually do remember that. Bill Clinton is president. I certainly remember that. And in the early 90s, the first internet search www was created. If you think about how much we use www and all the things that go with it these days, that is pretty amazing that was only, say 30 something years ago. And the Washington Redskins beat the Buffalo Bills. At the bottom of my screen, I'll show you that I was so jealous of my boss at the time because that was the brand new Mac. And it did amazing things. It didn't have color. It was black and white, but it was really cool. And you could do amazing things with it at that time. We don't see those in classrooms anymore. So what are we trying to do? Essentially, what it boils down to is that we are trying to, for the costs less than the costs of just doing all the major repairs, to leverage those funds with a state grant to pay to have essentially a brand new school in 2028. So we leverage 25 million, which gets bonded out, puts on a large mortgage out throughout the next 20 years. And to do that, because we can put a 20-year warranty stamp on the entire building after that, the state provides us over 60% reimbursement. So and that provides the other $40 million. So what does that include? What needs to be repaired? Pretty much every mechanical system in the district and the school has been essentially is past its expected life. All of the HVAC systems, the roof, the windows have all exceeded their warranties, and they are all in need of improvement. And they are also extremely expensive and inefficient. So a new school. And yes, that is a today picture. I'll admit that it's a very close-up picture, but it's just to give you an idea of that beautiful front that I showed you earlier, which is absolutely gorgeous. Just to the left, to the right of it, you see things that really do need to be fixed. And they're not easy fixes. So our state funds us over 60%, as I mentioned, and that really takes us through the entire building of electrical, plumbing, technology, all surfaces like floors, walls, ceilings, equipment, and paint everywhere. So we want to talk about a more secure entrance. And to do this, I'm going to switch over to my colleague, Mr. Lewandowski, who is actually sitting over by the entrance.
All right, thank you, Mr. Reese. So I'm actually sitting at the desk where our security officer sits, so that we have a secure, someone to watch our entrance. But basically, if I turn my computer, because I'm in the atrium where that picture of the crack in the floor is, but if I turn, just going to give you a shot of the entrance. And the entrance to the middle school, for all of you who have been to the middle school, you know that the entrance enters right into the main area of our atrium. And then you have to walk towards the office. So this is all part of the school. They have to walk through just to get into the office, where all of our other schools have secure entrances where you go into what they call a man trap. You go into a walled in area with doors and secure doors and locked doors where you go into the office to get buzzed in. You don't enter the school. You enter the outside door, and then get buzzed into the office area. So that's a major part of this renovation, would be to get a secure entrance, and make sure that you have to enter from the outside to the main office and not through the school.
Thank you. So I'm going to share my screen again. And just so you have a visual, essentially you see the two green posts, the one or the gutter right next to you on the left, and then the post to the right, and then the post to the right of that, and then the gutter to the right of that. In between those green sections would be a glass doorway. So essentially that whole fascia would be glass doors. And then the students or visitors would take a left right into the office, as Mr. Lewandowski indicated. Our athletic fields. We're very excited to be able to say that there is money in the budget to address the athletic fields. While it has been a wet winter, this is the picture of today. I still have the mud on my shoes from the footprint that you see there. But we are really excited to be able to bring fields that support our students to be the great athletes that they are in a better fashion through this project. So I have a picture here of the library, which is our hub of learning, and I'm going to turn it over to my friend, Mr. Adlerstein, to share the library in live time. Here we go. There.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. If you go to the top of the stairs in the area that Mr. Lewandowski is sitting in and what he just showed us, and walk straight, you would come through a double door and be in the media center or the library. And I actually almost said Learning Commons, and I don't believe we call it that now, but that is a focal point of our high school. And a few years ago, we did a project at the high school that turned into an amazing special place. And I think we all envision a similar place in this school as well, where students can meet to collaborate and do a variety of things. What you see behind me now are stacks of books, and I can just pan my camera around, and what you would see is what you would probably expect of a library in a middle school built in the 1990s. So it's a fairly traditional space, not the type of space we have at our high school. Mrs. Roberts did a really nice job at our real tour the other night, talking about how some of the spaces that are kind of cut up and closed off into small areas can be, in this new plan, accessed and utilize the space in this whole room better, and really turn it into a focal point for the school that I don't believe it is right now. Back
Thank
to
you,
you,
Dan.
Mr. Reese.
Excellent. Oh, we're getting better at this. We're like practically channel something or other. All right. So how do I find you? All right. So we start screen share again. All right. So, and it's interesting because we don't think of 1990 as, you know, that long ago, but I mean, those were the times we were still using encyclopedias. All research was done with books. There was no web. And that's essentially how this library is built and continues to be built today. So it's pretty exciting to think about our students having access to the learning hub that it could be. So because I had the time, I decided to go see, a lot of people have a lot of questions about our roof. My colleague here, one of our maintainers, let me come up on the roof just to kind of give you an idea of some of the issues we're facing. So if you look over here at the right screen, TJ is standing next to one of our chillers, and you look down the hall and you see, you look down the way after that and you see multiple chillers and you see the size. That's why the costs start rising, because these are large systems, they're large commercial systems, and they require a lot of support. If you look on the left and you see the gentleman who looks like he does not belong on the roof, but he is, you'll see that there's a large metal piece down by his right foot that goes the extension of the building. That's covering an expansion joint, because and as with the whole roof, everything moves all the time, that it contracts and it expands with temperatures. And essentially once things get in it, once water gets into it, it's problematic to fix it, because it gets under it, just like at your house, except for on a very large scale. So it's not actually what you see. It's what you don't see with what's happening with the roof that is more problematic. And that's one of the reasons we really want to talk about build like, renovate like new, because when they go in and just do a roof, they do just that. They do a roof. When they go in and renovate like new, they take the roof off, they look at what's going on, and they fix everything under it, and then put it back on. Which, if from an investment point of view, I think, from my perspective, is a much safer investment, because you're not covering up potential issues that have been there for a long time. And we talked today with our maintainers about some of the leaks actually are on the first floor that start in the roof. And you can imagine they have to make their way down here. So that beautiful foyer that I showed you earlier, and it is beautiful, it's even beautiful at night, as Mr. Lewandowski is showing us. If you take a closer look, the same photo zoomed in a little bit, you see that that foyer actually has significant water issues as well. It is I believe it's the bane of the existence of some of our maintainers who worked really hard to try to get that to stop leaking for the last few years. And you can see that that continues to be an issue. So just to reiterate, we're looking to replace fire alarms, technology infrastructure. The technology of 1990 is, we've done our best. The technology staff has been wonderful, but we really like to see, or we'd like it to bring up to where we are today. Hot water, heating, cooling, building controls, sidewalks, roof, and outdoor space. If you look at the bottom left of the screen, you'll see that there is a outdoor space that right now can't really be used as a classroom. And we know kids we learned a lot actually through the pandemic, that students really like to be in outdoor spaces. They find it to be really good for their learning and engaging. So we want to make that space, which is really unusable at this point, into something that would support our children to do, among other things, science. So I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over to our principal, Roberts, and have her talk to you a little bit about our science classrooms.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening and sharing all this with us. I am sitting in one of our sixth grade science classrooms. And as you could see, hopefully behind me, it is pretty crammed in here with just typical desks. And over on the side, there is one sink. And that is not what we find in our seventh and eighth grade classrooms. They are set up as science labs that are ready to lead students through all of the experiments in a really safe manner. So they have all of the safety equipment, including eye wash, fire prevention. They have separate sinks at each lab. It's a really great space to conduct science. I was a science teacher, had one of those classrooms. It was amazing. They still are amazing, and those will really remain the same. But our sixth grade students don't get that. And, when we have talked to our science teachers, they are really excited about the fact that our sixth graders will come in and get to do all the things that our seventh and eighth graders are doing to really prepare them for that trajectory throughout sixth, seventh, and eighth, and better prepare them for high school, and to really take those upper level science classes, and more importantly, to love science. And the fun part of science is all the hands-on experiments and using all the equipment. And in the sixth grade, it's just really difficult to do it. Our teachers do an amazing job of making do with what they have. You can see that there's plants and there's little experiments going everywhere in this room, but it is very, very close together. And so what our students would get with this renovation is just right from the start, a world-class science education that prepares them to move even further and faster throughout the grades. So we are just really excited for this to happen and be part of our learning experience for our students.
I'm getting it back to sharing so I could start my presentation again. And there we are. Oh, it started from the beginning. Let's go through that real quick. So Mrs. Roberts did a wonderful job of kind of prepping us. So, but this slide really kind of tries to demonstrate what learning now is. In the bottom right-hand corner, you see collaboration, working both with technology and with paper and pencil. You see the robotics, which we have an exciting program here, but a program that's really built in a space that's not designed for it. And we're really excited at the opportunity to do that. The science labs that Ms. Roberts just spoke about on the bottom left, with the technology on the above that, with interactive boards and internet that actually supports the entire school. On the top right, you see a concept of a library space that includes not just the books, but also that natural engaging opportunity for students to collaborate with one another. And of course, our athletic teams, we're looking to improve the athletic equipment program, so students have the opportunity to continue to get into better and better shape. So it's really the sky's the limit. We are looking at 2028, and students would be walking into a new school, not walking into a school that has a few mechanicals fixed, walking into a new school with floors that are new, with ceilings that are new, and everything that comes with it. To me, that's very exciting. So what are the details? These are kind of the details of leading up to today. I'm going to let you read through the beginning of them and kind of start where we are right now. Next Tuesday, the town council has a meeting at 7 o'clock. They plan to have set the referendum date, as I understand the plan. And then the projected referendum is March 19th. Assuming everything goes as I believe they have planned. So after that, we seek reimbursement. We send an application for a grant to the state, and the state essentially takes about a year to decide if to process the grant. And the project waits until the grant is received. And that's one of the reasons this takes longer than some people think, because it seems like it takes forever to me. So, but potentially as we get ready for the grant, we have the opportunity to start the design, the more intricate design process, and to get closer to being ready as we know the grant's approved. Once the grant's approved, then we start actually going out and getting contractors to actually carry on the project. And you see kind of what the schedule like that would be mid to late 2025, and getting it fully designed in 25, and then bidding and starting putting the, I keep saying putting the shovel in the ground, but it's, I guess we will with the sidewalks and the fields, but essentially getting the project underway in the spring of 26. So a lot of questions we anticipate are, you know, how do you do this and with kids? So we do have some swing space in the school that's available to us. So we plan to use that when we need to, and work on 3 classrooms at a time and move students into the 3 classrooms of swing space that we have. We also plan to have the significant amount of construction done over the 2 summers. So the really invasive construction, like doing the floors, doing ceilings, running HVAC systems through the above the ceiling tiles, that we would be doing in the summer, and the roof, and more probably finishing up windows, finishing up some doors will likely happen throughout the year. That's less disruptive. So what are the costs? That's one of the big questions we want to anticipate. The construction costs, the paying the contractor to do the work is approximately $52 million. And when you do any kind of project like that, there's what's called soft costs. So you have to pay for an architect to design everything, and sometimes and engineers to work through any problems you might have. Everything needs to meet code, so they have to have all their certifications, and all that. There's also, like when you open up a wall in a house, there's the assumption you're going to find things. So there's also a contingency. It's very likely we'll find areas that we need to take down something that we thought might be okay. And that's what the contingency is really anticipating what we might need to spend. They set the contingency based on other projects, of how when you do renovation for 101,000 square feet, what should the contingency be? And that's essentially what they believe what it should come up to. And these are professional estimators, not myself or one of our team. So, because that's, so the state puts in their 65.36% of most of it. There's some parts that they will not reimburse, except for, we'll be looking for that later from our state, but that's a secondary process. So at about $40 million. So at the end of the day, the town of Plainville, I'm starting sometimes in 2026, 26, 28, somewhere in there, takes on about 25 million of debt, which they put on a loan, or they bond for 20 or so years, at a low interest rate, and add that into our debt. So one of the big questions, and I can't see ahead on the screen, is about the tax impact. And the tax impact, essentially the town has engaged in a process to keep the amount we pay for debt to be level. And they've been doing this for years. So 10 years ago, when they talked about getting this project going, MSP renovation project, they anticipated what the timing would be. They thought it might be a little earlier than this. So the shelf that is happening with our bond payments on the town side has actually already started. So they're already starting to see some of those savings. So the net impact of our project actually will not increase taxes because of the planning they did many years ago to watch and to plan it when we started to see our payments come off. It's very similar to when you finish in a house, when you finish paying for your car, you realize you have that $300 car payment that you have sitting there that you could use for something else if something else is on the agenda. It's very similar, just in many thousands of dollars. So Debt service is just that. It is essentially the way towns basically take out mortgages and pay for things. Debt service for towns is it's one of the best investments that out there. It's one of the safest investments. So many times we're running under the actual percentage of what you might get for a loan. So right now it's about 3%, whereas for a town to get a loan like this, whereas for your car that you might go buy tomorrow, you're probably looking at 6.5 or 7%. So don't quote me on the 6.5 or 7. I haven't been car shopping in a couple of days. So again, the time frame is the following dates that we mentioned before. And we talked about the dates coming up. These are all the opportunities we've had and talked to different people. Just want to make sure you had all that. And then we're here to answer your questions. And again, I started this presentation. First of all, I want to thank Sam and Amy and David for being here and helping with this presentation. If the video format's been clunky, I take full responsibility. It seemed like a really good idea. So I'm not actually sure what it looks like out there, but hopefully it's met your expectations. So we'd like to answer your questions. I believe you can raise your hand and we will try to answer your questions as they come. If you need to tell us that you want to actually speak your question, please put that in the chat.
Brian,
Q&A at the bottom.
you do have a couple of questions in the Q&A already. The one I think you already answered about the impact on students and teaching during the renovation. And another is, can you discuss the glass for the secured entrance? Is it bulletproof or coated for resistance to bullets?
So that's actually the final decision on what happens out front would be the building committee's decision to make that final call about what kind of glass. I can't imagine it not being bulletproof glass. So. Okay, and we have somebody with their hand up. So there we are. I think you just have to unmute and you're online.
I think Dan may have to unmute that person if they.
Are you able to unmute her? So Miss Galvez, if you can unmute yourself, that would be helpful. There should be a red microphone down to the bottom left of your screen or top left. There you are. You're here. All right, maybe it's a technical glitch. So if you have questions, don't hesitate. There's a Q&A at the top or bottom of your screen, and you can type them in there.
Mrs. Clark put a nice comment about the presentation.
She did. She did. I was trying to figure out if there was also a question. I was trying to be aware of that. Thank you for that comment. Ms. Roberts, I think that question's for you. What do you look forward to the most? So, and I'll take the fields piece. Yes, there are funds in the project to address the fields issue. And it's also very exciting for our sports teams. Ms. Roberts, how about yourself? What do you think is
Yeah,
the most exciting part?
I am most excited about really, well, first of all, I'm super excited that rather than just having the things that are really problematic, like that we don't see working to full capacity, I'm so excited for students to walk into what looks like a brand new school to them. I think it's going to feel so exciting and so good. I think it'll really boost staff morale and just like bring us all together because we'll be making decisions together and really creating the feeling and the culture and the vibe that we want our students to feel. Um, the saying, look good, feel good. Students, when we come in and we present ourselves professionally and they're in this great learning environment, I feel like they really feel like it's an exciting place to be and where they want to be and what they want to do. So I feel like in each and every area where we have the right space with the right technology and everything for their teachers to put together the most engaging, lessons and everything for them, with everything working the way it should be and enough space for everyone. I feel so excited about that. And of course, the fields it'll be amazing if they are back in working condition. And I can't wait to see that too, because our athletes, they work so hard and then they have to go other places and, it just doesn't work out for them the way they want it to. So this is going to be amazing.
And it's funny because we have wonderful teachers who've made the best of situations. But I think about the tech ed wing and that section and the culinary program. And when you think about what those could look like with modern technology, with programs really where the program leads the build, and we build around what they're doing and exciting things they plan to do. It's just a very different feel and a very different opportunity for our students. So it's very exciting. I see somebody actually added one after. Okay, so, yep. And we can answer that question again. The space that's available, we hope to really do the part that's disruptive, we really plan to do over the 2 summers. Because we're not taking out exterior walls. So, and we think that that's really going to be very possible to do. And again, the smaller, less disruptive work, like doing a couple classrooms of windows can be done while just moving a class to the other side of the school for a few days and moving around. So. So somebody asked if we have tours. I think that's a great question. I'm going to kind of answer it with multiple answers. We did do a tour earlier this week. We can actually answer a question, or if you call up and make a time, we can walk you through or walk a few people through. Once the meeting happens next Tuesday, we're in a position where we can answer questions, we can be informative to you, and we want to do that for you and answer all your questions. But we're not allowed to do kind of reaching out. I'm not allowed to say I'm really excited about this program after Tuesday. So we'd be happy to give you a tour. Trying to figure out if I missed any comments or questions.
No.
All right. So we're going to give this another couple of minutes. I know many of us have put in a day already, so just want to make sure that we get all your questions. So I encourage you, in the meantime, there is a website set up for this in the email I sent home this morning. It's actually included in there. But if you write in, and this is the modern technology that it is, if you write in MSP building project, it actually goes right to that site. And that has more information that you really want. But it has an FAQ page that takes you through all the questions that you might have. If you look on the town's Facebook site, they've been posting a lot of the information that's on there as well. So feel free to grab that. We've been very fortunate to have Mr. Ciroli and Mr. Paulus over at the town being a wonderful support team for this. They have been extremely wonderful partners in making this move as quickly as it has since the December timeframe. So I'm going to take and say that we're going to end the session now. Again, don't hesitate to
Actually,
answer
there is one more question, Brian. When will the design layout be able to be previewed?
So that's a great question. If the screen just went black, I'm not sure how I did that. I apologize. So once the referendum is done, once they do an RFQ for architects, those architects will design the exact what things are going to look like at that point. So that's sometime during, I mean, my unrealistic hope would be that's the end of 24, but it's probably more likely to be sometime in 25. So 2025. All right, give it another minute for questions. Of course, I didn't set a timer. All right, so we may see you on next Tuesday at the town hall if you plan to attend. We also, well, I won't see you at the referendum, but and just as a reminder, the referendum is March 19th at the firehouse. With that, I want to thank my team. They've been wonderful to be out here and putting on this presentation with me, and thank the technology team as well, who's sitting over here making this all work. And want you all to have a great night.
Night, everyone.
Good night.